When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Now, you've tried to clarify this statement in recent days, Donald, but I guess the question comes down to this. Do you regret saying that specifically about rapists, or do you stand by it?
No, not at all. Of course, it's not only Mexico. If you let that run a little bit longer, it talks about people coming from all over. They're coming from all over. They'll soon be coming, and probably already have be coming from all over the world. You're probably going to have people, you're probably going to have terrorists coming from the Middle East. Somebody said, oh, we don't have terrorists. They don't even know, because they don't know who's.
I woke up and I went to bed just really bothered. And someone going to say, as a matter of fact, I just want to say that, Corey, let me address this from the very beginning, and you all will see where I'm coming from. She says, Corey, from what I've watched, it feels like you're doing promotions for Trump. I think what you're doing is dangerous. He's clearly a white supremacist with a known agenda that'll harm all minorities. Couple things. Let me just say this. Am I in favor of, or am I making veiled attempts to point to or push folks to Trump? Take away the veil. Kamala Harris is a danger to this country. There is no ifs, ands, buts, or about it. From a biblical standpoint, without question. Again, do I think, and let me just say it clearly, I do not think that Donald Trump or Kamala, for that case, are both, or either of them are Christian. I don't think that they are going to promote a biblical agenda. I do believe there's one that's going to promote an agenda that is anti-biblical, that being Kamala. I'm not even talking about that today. I'm not talking about abortion today. I'm not talking about the alphabet community. No, what I'm talking about is something that you can't even refute. Now, someone's going to say he's a racist. Well, he wasn't a racist 8 years ago. By the way, did you all know this? What's interesting is that no other person other than, think about this, Jesus and Martin Luther King Jr. were mentioned more in raps than Donald Trump. Someone went back and just, you know, you can take the computers and you can and see whose name comes up most. Donald Trump comes up most than anybody else in these raps. So he wasn't a racist. Everyone that's called him a racist didn't call him a racist then. Well, what about the Central Park Five? Go back and look at the article that he put. He didn't even mention the Central Park Five. He mentioned about crime in New York. Go back to the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you guys aren't old enough, but crime in the 80s, especially in New York, was horrible. It was horrendous, and they brought it down by being tough. Now, you can all say that he was racist, but you don't have a proof about it. There is no documented proof about it. Am I advocating saying this man is a saint? I am not saying that. Donald Trump has many flaws. However, you literally have 4 years to see what he did, and to say that he is going to enslave you or hurt minorities, give the proof that he did in the past. Otherwise, pay attention and listen. But what I want you to do is refute this. We're not talking about abortion. We're not talking about gay rights. What we are talking about is just, and by the way, does this affect the economy? It absolutely does. How do I know? Well, because my former life, I was a managing principal of an investment firm. My entire thought outlook was the economy. And let me just explain to you guys again, if you don't know this, when you add more workers to the economy, whether they be legal or illegal, whether they be low paying jobs, middle income jobs, or high paying jobs, when you add more workers, you add more dollars, you devalue the dollar, you naturally increase inflation. Do you all understand this? And so when you bring in 10, 20 million people who should not be here, then what's going to happen? It's going to increase inflation, decrease the value of your dollars. Forget about the fact that, at least in this argument about crime and about other things, forget about the entitlements. All of those things, those are also necessary parts of the problem. But what I want to deal with is what we all are seeing. What he was talking about. Well, he was just racist. What he was saying. They're bringing crime. Really. Go ask the people that have been raped. Go ask people that have been murdered. The people that have been assaulted by illegal immigrants. Well, the crime rate amongst them is lower than what it would be for the average American. That's not a good argument, because what we don't need is any more crime regardless of the percentages from a certain group of society. We don't need that. And what we certainly don't need is this.
Gang violence at an apartment complex in Aurora. The video shows men entering an apartment building with several weapons and then busting down a door.
And all of this taking place at the apartment, which had become a crime hotspot in that city. Fox 31's Vicente Arenas was at that complex today as people were moving out, fearing for their safety.
The video shows a group of men walking up a stairwell at the Edge Lowry apartment complex in Aurora. All of them appear to be carrying rifles and handguns, and the video shot earlier this month. One of the men can be seen talking on a cell phone.
Here's my question to those that believe in Kamala or dislike Trump. That's fine. Here's my question. If that's your apartment or if that's your house, because I'm going to show you a video when they're doing it, where they're also doing this in houses. And go, oh, by the way, it's not just Denver or Aurora. It's also in New York. It's in Chicago. It's in Boston. It's in Florida. It's certainly in California. They're here in Texas. They are everywhere. What are you going to do when 4 or 5 men show up to your door and want to either extort you or rob you? What are you going to do? Well, the very same people that are wanting you to take away or wanting not to have certain guns are going to limit your ability to protect yourself. So now, matter of fact, let's ask this question. Let's ask this question for all of those that believe that you only need to have one gun, or that your gun needs to only have a certain amount of magazine capacity. How many bullets will it take to eliminate those 5 guys at your door? How many bullets? Because a single seven round magazine clip is not going to do it. What are you going to do? And pray tell, what will happen if you happen to, oh, I don't know, miss one? Maybe you might take 2 shots or 3 shots. So call the police. The police will get there to pick you up. The police will show up just in time to put the tape around your body. The police will be there just in time to take a statement. But they're not. Police are reactive. The problem is this is happening. And let me just explain something to you. When you do arrest them and you put them in prison, let me ask you guys a question. What do you think if you were already in prison? Remember, these are people that are coming, in many cases, out of prison in Venezuela. People who are coming out of El Salvador, out of prison, from Colombian prisons, but specifically Venezuela, whose crime rate has dropped. And people heard him say that, and they were thinking, well, that ain't true. That's just Trump being braggadocious. That's just Trump just saying, no, this is actually a Homeland Department memo literally said that these are people that are being brought out or put out of their countries, detention centers, prisons, asylums, to be sent towards America. Now, you can disagree with that, but go ask the folks in Colorado, go ask the folks in Chicago, go ask the folks in New York what's happening. And we're going to play that, by the way, and I hope these clips bother you. These clips should bother you. But what are you going to do? If you are a Venezuelan prisoner, you get let out and come to America, are you worried about going to an American prison? Now, I've been in an American prison. What do you think is better, an American prison or a Venezuelan prison? It's not even close. There's air conditioning in an American prison. There's cable TV. There are MP3 players. There, you can get a cell phone in an American prison. There's a lot of things that you can do in an American prison that you could not. Matter of fact, one guy told me, I won't name the country that he's from, but told me that he was living better, had more, and ate better in this American prison than he did back in his home country. So you think they're all that bothered by going back to an American prison? That is, if they get sent to an American prison?
They all then gather around a door and go in. Another video clip shows men forcing a door open. But what or who they were searching for, not clear. The video was shot in the building where...
Every day when we come home, we have to do this. Every time we go outside to take out the garbage, every time we try to go to bed at night, we have to keep it like this so nobody can kick in the door.
The couple's car.
Now, I remember when I used to live in the projects growing up, we had all of those. We had all of those. Let me just say this. Somebody saying that they don't think Trump's going to do it. Brother B. Harris, love you to death. He says, Trump stopped the border bill and he didn't stop any crossings either. Listen, we had a record low in crossings at the end of his presidency. It was working. There is no doubt about it. If it was so bad, then why in the first week of their presidency did Biden and Harris stop in President Trump's catch and release? They stopped remain in Mexico. this little border bill that you're talking about, do us a favor, go back and look at the border bill. Go look at the border bill that everyone thinks was so great. What it did was it added several thousand agents, but guess where these agents weren't going to be? The agents weren't going to be on the border. There are some that were going to be on the border, but there were going to be those that are going to be on the border and then those that are going to be in administrative positions. Why are you hiring more administrative positions for immigration? Oh, I know why, because those brand new borders that you're going to bring out. Yes, a little border bill. What they're going to do is all they're going to do is escort them to America, into America. We would be literally hiring people, hiring escorts, hiring greeters with uniforms on to welcome them in. Are any of those agents going to turn them back? Ask yourself this question, B. Harris, or anyone else. Are any of those agents going to turn those immigrants back, those illegal aliens? Are they going to turn them back? No. What are they going to do? They're going to process them in and send them to different places. How is that going to stop anything? It doesn't. This is what I want you guys to just take Trump out of it, take Harris out of it, and just ask yourself, what's the best thing to do? Stop them from coming in the first place. Stop them from coming in the first place. Juan Marquez, and by the way, I've got my coffee. He says right-wing talking points. Well, give me your left-wing talking points. Follow the money. This story is as trustworthy as any story on Newsmax. Follow the money. It corrupts even smart Christians. Okay, Juan, let me ask you a question. Is this story also on CNN? Yep. Is this story also on ABC? Yep. Is this story also on NBC? Yep. It's not a right-wing talking point. It's a fact. It is an absolute fact. If it's not, go ask a 12-year-old girl down in Houston that was murdered by that was raped and murdered by Venezuelan immigrants. Go ask them. Go ask the family of the woman that was raped and murdered in Maryland. Is this a right-wing talking point? Go ask the ones that have been shot and killed and robbed in Denver, in New York, in California. Are these talking points? No, they're not. Open your eyes and just pay attention. Open your eyes and pay attention. If not, give me the left side's talking points. I'm just literally giving you the points, the facts. Take out Trump, take out Harris, and just ask yourself, what's the right way to do it? How would you handle this? How would you stop what you're getting ready to see on your screen?
And many others here were riddled with bullets after a shootout at the complex earlier this month.
Now, what we have here are 3 fine, upstanding Venezuelan citizens going not to an apartment. These are people that are going to houses. This is a Ring doorbell camera. They come up and they show them, they pretend as though they are with Amazon. And so what do? They push their way in.
Federal authorities in El Paso relinquishing custody of a man linked to this violent jewelry robbery. This happened back in June in Denver. So our partners at News Nation, they're reporting it's part of a Venezuelan gang. They do report Homeland Security officials turned over the suspect, Gene Torres Roman, to the Denver County Sheriff's Office.
Now, these are people, they were actually arrested before. They came in, those wonderful border agents. And I don't have a problem with the Border Patrol at all. As a matter of fact, my mother-in-law is an official with, an officer with immigration. She's been there for 40 years now. She's getting ready to retire. And I can't tell you her level of frustration with this. But they bring them in, they catch them, they release them. These were caught, released, then put in jail, and then released, made their way up north, and then violently robbed and pistol whipped women at this jewelry store. Who's in favor of this? By the way, they could not have gotten in 2019, 2020. They may have, but what would have happened if they would have got arrested the first time? Ask yourself this question. What needs to have happened? They show up at your door, and even if you say, I don't believe that you are with Amazon, but they push their way in and they've got weapons, what are you going to do? I just want you to ask a question. If it were to, since the folks on the left love saying, well, if it was your daughter, well, let me ask you this. If it was your daughter, if it was your house, what are you going to do? What's the best thing to do? Forget Trump or Harris. What's the best thing to do? How would you handle it? Don't mention Trump or Harris in your answering this question. How, sir, would you handle it? How now you can, if you want to ask, if you want to add names, if you want to add Trump's name to it, if you want to add Kamala Harris's name to it, fine. What happened? Did you see this 4 years ago? I'm asking you. Did you see this 4 years ago? Since these are right-wing talking points, did you see this 4 years ago? Now, this sweet baby, this 13, 14-year-old kid is one of the kids that's running around New York, Venezuelan immigrant, who was shooting at cops, robbing people, stealing, and so forth. He's one of those wonderful people, and his mother is on the side because she's crying, "My dear baby, my wonderful baby." No, ma'am. First of all, she should not be here. And this little horrible kid should not be here either. That's why she's crying. She's crying because he is being led away by the cops. Now, he should not have been here. He's part of those gangs that you saw in New York, and they arrested him. Let's see what my brother says, because I do want to entertain those that disagree. He says the bill, $405 million to hire 1,300 Border Patrol agents to secure the border, and $755 million to hire an additional 1,600 asylum officers and support staff. Let's just deal with that if you believe that's correct. Let me ask you a question, B. Harris. Here's my question. First of all, let's just say they added 5,000 more border agents. Here's my question, B. Harris. 5,000 more border agents. What would those extra border agents do? Let's listen for, I'm researching my talking points. I live down here in Texas. I see them every day. Again, my family works for it. So my question to you, sir, what would those extra agents do? Would they stop them from coming in? Let's hear. Would they stop them from coming in? No, they would escort them. They would process them through. That's what they're doing. Why eliminate the Remain in Mexico policy? Have you ever, B. Harris or anyone else, ever noticed how many countries you have to go through to get through America? You do realize that Venezuela is not a border state, a border country. You do realize Venezuela is not a border country. No, you go from Venezuela. Matter of fact, let me just make sure, because I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. You go from Venezuela. Let's put my little map here. I was going to put Venezuela through Colombia. You got to go from Colombia through Panama. From Panama, you can either decide to go through El Salvador or Honduras. Then from there, you go through Guatemala. Then you decide to make your way all the way up to Mexico. Well, the Remain in Mexico policy was that if you pass a state or country that you didn't reasonably have fear for your life in, then you must ask for asylum there. Now, you're going to pass through a couple of countries that you could legitimately ask for asylum. The last country you certainly can ask for asylum, which is Mexico, and they wouldn't do it. You know why? Because they want to come to America. We're going to let them tell you, B. Harris. We're going to let them tell you what they're doing, what their plan is. So answer this question, sir. Here's the question. I asked you a pretty easy question. What would those extra border agents do? Would they stop them from coming in, or would they just simply process them in? Are we hiring deterrents, or are we hiring escorts to bring them in? So here's my question, and answer the question. You're not going to answer the question because you can't. You have a disdain and a dislike and probably more than likely a hatred towards Trump to where you are not going to even look at, the reality. How did COVID cause most of the migration in the U.S.? How? When COVID hit, migration in the U.S. stopped. That's not accurate at all. Do y'all remember? Let's go back. Remember, it was only a month ago or 2 months ago when Trump almost lost his life, when he leaned forward, turned. Rant man, love you to death. You know I do. What was Trump looking at? When he leaned forward and turned his head, what was he looking at? He was looking at that, as he says, that beautiful chart, as he says, but he looked at the chart. What was he pointing out? He was pointing out the decline in immigration. At what time was that happening at, Rant Man? That was happening during COVID. And it was on its way down even prior to that. It was on its way down prior to that. We cannot get around that fact. Immigration was decreasing. Now remember, the other party also said, there was not a problem. We did not. We literally have them on camera saying this was not a crisis. There is no crisis. Did Biden and Harris state that there was not a crisis at the border? Yes or no? The answer is yes. They stated that. Is there a crisis at the border? Yes. We started hearing about these different caravans and so forth, and now we're just saying, let's see, it's open. And again, we'll get to the point in just a second where I'm going to play for you what they're saying, how they're advertising our country to other people.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police shootouts.
By the way, what you're hearing is not Fox News. It's not right-wing talking points. This is a New York City. I don't know if it's ABC or CBS, it's one of those stations in New York City. So again, not talking points.
Streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector.
Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is escalating, and now drugs are coming into the picture.
We're just starting to see a drug called Tusi, which is a pink cocaine type substance.
It seems like this is a huge challenge.
Tonight, chilling new details.
Now, again, this isn't talking points. As a matter of fact, the next video you're going to see is, again, not right-wing talking points. It's going to be from NBC down in Houston. What happened in Houston? Why? What is it that's interesting enough in Houston that causes us to talk about it on this broadcast? I'm going to show you in a second. Someone says you are definitely conservative. Yep, and so. Yes, I am, and so what, aren't you? These are points that weren't even disputed. Now, I'm not sure how old you are, William Smith. I'm not sure how old you are. But everything that I'm saying, these are statements that 20, 30, let's go back 30 years ago. They weren't debatable. Republicans and Democrats, conservative and liberal alike, all agree with what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, before Trump said it, it was Bill Clinton who also said, "Make America Great Again." And you know when he made that statement? When he was giving a speech about immigration, about curtailing the number of immigrants that came through. He made the exact same statement in regards to immigration. It's not a conservative talking point. It's an American talking point. Y'all do realize, and I said this before, when you talk about the flag, that flag that we have represents 2 things. It represents 1, the people in it, which also necessarily means its culture, but then 2, the border. So yeah, this is an American talking point. This is, I'm more than that. I'm an American. And when I see what's happening and the safety or lack of safety that we may have, that's a problem. And again, take your particular part. How about this? How about those folks that dislike Trump? How about those folks that hate Trump? Fine. How about you make your party do the exact same thing? This doesn't have to be a Democrat or Republican issue, a liberal or conservative issue. It doesn't have to be that. You can make you can hold the Democrats' feet to the fire and say, you know what? We want you to also secure the border. We want you to build a wall. We want you to have, what if you guys said we want the Democrats to also have an immigration policy just as tough as, Mexico's immigration policy. Now, I think Mexico is also a culprit because we wouldn't allow a roving band of people to go from Mexico to Canada or vice versa. So I think they are also implicit, and I would love to see them be deported. You got a problem with that? That's fine, but what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with those folks those people that are brazenly robbing people, shooting people, doing all these different things? What are you going to do with them? It comes a point in time where these people are just not for us to deal with. Send them back to their country. Now, Please don't be this person. Please don't be the person that's being spoken of in Proverbs. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. If you disagree with what I'm saying, don't come with, well, he's conservative, right-wing talking points, this, that. Give me your solution. Tell me what the other party or the other person is going to do. I am saying, without question, you have no business, if you're an American, certainly if you're a Christian, voting for Kamala Harris. You don't like Trump? Fine. Don't vote for him either, but do not cast a vote for her. That is absolutely ridiculous. If you even value your country, why would you do that? Tell me what she's going to do to benefit this country. Tell me. She's going to tell you some lies. That we know. On day one, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but you're already literally in office. You're literally in office. So go ahead and tell us, B. Harris, that you are so for Harris, or maybe you hate Trump that much no matter what happens. You're going to vote. You're going to vote for anyone against no matter what he does. Stop pushing your choice on others. I will not stop pushing my choice. You can push yours. You are more than welcome, Wendy, to push your opinion. Give us in the chats a reason why. Tell us why. I didn't say neither one of them were evil. I said both of them are horrible. I wish folks would pay attention and listen to what I'm saying. Both of them are horrible. But who is going to do the right thing for the country? Who's going to do the bidding of yeah, he says some nasty things, some mean things. That's fine. That's fine. Which one is going to keep the borders closed? Or at least keep not so porous? Which one is not going to hand out dollars to everyone? Which one is not for boys being turned to girls and girls being turned to boys? Which one? Which one at least will? Now, I know he kind of goes back and forth with his issue of abortion. I said before, this is the kind of politician Donald Trump is. He's this, or which way the wind is blowing. Now, what he's going to do, though, he is going to do what's best for the party that he's representing. Well, the party that he's representing wants less abortion. The party he's representing don't want boys and girls to be considered the same. Don't believe that there's more than two genders. That's the point. And so all I'm asking you to do is, if you think that he's wrong, then tell us what the solution is. What is the solution for this crime? Matter of fact, go tell this family in Houston that you've got another solution.
Details in the murder of 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungaray in Houston. Two Venezuelan migrants, 22-year-old Johan Jose Martinez Rangel and 26-year-old Franklin Peña, charged with capital murder after authorities found the body of Jocelyn strangled.
Stops on the school district's bus route.
Now, before I get to this other one, which is a strange story, and again, you don't see this next story in many different places, not even on right-wing talking point news stations. But that was horrible, by the way. And it would be one thing if this this dear little girl Jocelyn wasn't the only one. We see a lot of crime here in Texas. We see it obviously in Chicago. You see it in New York. You certainly see it in California. You see it in New York. You see it in other places. How many people, high-profile cases, do we see of someone being killed, murdered, or assaulted by illegal immigrants? And granted, it's not just Venezuelan. It's not just Venezuelan. There's more. The fact is, none of them should be here. None of them should be here. So if you don't want Trump in, fine. Tell Kamala Harris you want her to do the exact same thing. She's okay with flip-flopping. Go ahead and tell her to do the exact same thing. She won't, though. You know why? Because she is as far left as they can get. And I can promise you this, you don't want anyone, even if they're the most anti-Trump person, you don't want anyone that far left. Now, here's a weird story. How about, imagine you sending your babies to school. How about you, yeah, she did perform the first same-sex marriage in California and was proud about it. How about what if your babies are on the bus stop going to school? What if they were on the bus stop on their way to school and there are migrants there with their backpacks on at the bus stop waiting to get on the school, not the city bus, the school bus. Yeah, isn't that weird?
That heads to Oak Grove Middle School and Hamul Primary. Meanwhile, yesterday afternoon, in a similar area along another route, the superintendent says that a group of migrants tried to stop another bus. Border Patrol, CHP, and the Sheriff's Office have now been informed of these incidents. The superintendent says that for the safety of everyone, if a driver sees a group of migrants at a bus stop, they will drive past it and move on to the next.
He said these adults, they weren't kids. He said, but they had backpacks on, Mom, and they tried to get on our bus. He said, and there was a lot of them.
The district confirmed 20 migrants tried to board the bus Wednesday morning. That's when parents and the driver stepped in, keeping the migrants at bay.
So now, I don't know where they're going, where they're trying to get. Are they trying to get to the school? Are they just trying to hitch a ride? I don't know. But that's troubling, and it's not a one-time thing. This happened often in California, where migrants are at bus stops. So what should we do about that? Now, I know what Harris has said.
Big one is immigration. As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and northern part of Central America. The northern part of
Now, B. Harris, I know this might be your cousin. I'm just kidding. I don't know. B. Harris, tell me, is Kamala Harris your cousin? Are you related? No relation? Okay. But listen to what she's saying. She was tasked with stopping the root causes in the northern South American countries. That would be Venezuela. That would be Colombia and El Salvador and Honduras and so forth. Tasked with the root cause. B. Harris, my question, and anyone else, did she succeed? Did she succeed? By the way, what is the root cause? Well, the root cause, there's two root causes. One, they want to live better than they lived there. Two, which we have nothing to do with, they want to get rid of the worst of the worst. When they are literally emptying out their prisons and their asylums and detention centers and those that are addicted, we're supposed to take them, huh? I know you guys want. You're not going to welcome them and allow them in your cities. When they sent them to Martha's Vineyard, what do? When they sent them to Martha's Vineyard or any high-priced area in any of these sanctuary cities, what do? You know what? Nope. What we're going to do is let's round up all of these immigrants. And let's go send them to these colored folks. Where are the colored folks in the city? That's where we're going to send them to. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Tell me where you could not send them to the upscale parts of town. And by the way, and I love the fact that my governor did that. I love the fact that the Florida governor did that. I love that. Why? Because it gives us a chance to see their true colors. No, you can't be here in Martha's Vineyard. We can send you somewhere where there's more blacks and Hispanics. You know, you're kind. We want to send you with your people. But you want to call the other folks racist. But when they send the migrants to the black community, to the Hispanic community, that ain't racist. They cannot be in the white community, just like Planned Parenthood cannot be in the white. No, it's got to be about 80% of them in the black communities. Yeah, but that's not racist. That's not racist. I wish you guys had a better understanding of what the word racist is. Help me understand what's the definition of it, because I'm confused. I am so thoroughly confused. But let's go back to Harris and let's hear her talking points.
Of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement?
Now, let's stop for a second, since I'm on these right-wing talking points. That's Dana Bash, who did a horrible job interviewing, but that's neither here nor there. Is she giving right-wing talking points when she said the highest ever level of illegal immigration? Is that my talking points or hers? So I want you all to just hear it.
Implement sweeping asylum restrictions. Well, first of all, the root causes were 3.5 years to implement record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Before she answers, the question was record illegal immigration, and why did you wait 3.5 years? Here's my question for those that disagree with me, and it's fine. Listen, I want you to disagree. I want you to educate me, or I want to educate you. Think about this. Why did they wait 3.5 years? Remember, they started off by saying this was not a problem. There is no crisis at the border. I remember Jim Acosta when he was just a regular reporter at CNN. He went down to the border, stood beside the wall and said, "There's no problems here. I don't see a crisis here." I don't know if you all remember that. Well, first of all, you're at a wall. Well, because at a wall, at a functioning wall, you won't see it. Again, Trump killed the bill. What was in the bill? Was that bill going to stop anything? Let's just put something together, because Lord help us. By the way, how many bills, William Smith, how many immigration bills did we have previously? Just Google and just look up how many other immigration bills, bipartisan at that, immigration bills have we had? And then ask yourself the question, did any of them work? If all you're going to do is add more people, more caretakers, more escorts, more greeters to bring them in, catch them and release them, is that, who cares? Listen, I don't care how many. Yeah, actually I do care. Part of me does care, but part of me doesn't. Because here's my question. Here's my question to you, B. Smith and B. Harris and Wendy and William and others. Here's my question. Matter of fact, here's a bigger question, because you would think that what we're seeing, you would think that's pretty terrifying to know that somewhere in your city, somewhere close by, and I do mean somewhere close by, there are those folks who mean you harm because they feel they've got an added extra level of freedom. They're not going to do anything to us. They'll put us in jail. They'll release us. That's not even the more frightening thing. Can I tell you what's more frightening than to see them coming in? Can I tell you what's more frightening than Venezuelan gangs? Can I tell you what's more frightening than MS-13? We forget about MS-13 sometimes, from El Salvador, or other gangs from Colombia or Guatemala or Honduras. What's more frightening than that? I'm going to ask you guys a question. And I want you guys to answer this question. Those of you that disagree, I've got 6 dislikes. Might get 8, might get 20. But I got 6 dislikes. I want to ask you guys to dislike this question. And really everybody. But I want to make sure you guys answer this question. Please answer this question. Give me the correct number, the correct answer. How many terrorists have come across the southern border? I'll take a sip out of my coffee from my best friend Joey. How many terrorists have come across our southern border? And I think it's an important question for anyone that was born prior to 2001. How many terrorists have come across our southern border? There's only one answer. I don't know. I have no idea. Now, we've captured 180 that were on the terrorist watch list. Let that sink into your brain for a second. 180 people on the terrorist watch list. Are we so naive to think that we caught every single person that was on the terrorist watch list that came through? A couple of things about that, B. Harris. A couple of things about that. To think that we got people coming through the southern border on the terrorist watch list tells us that people on the terrorist watch list think that's a good way to get in the country. People on the terrorist watch list think they can come into the country. We know they want to come into the country. They know how now. How? Through the southern border. We've caught 180. Did we catch all? B. Harris, the rest of you guys, do you think that we caught all of them? Do you think that we caught all of the terrorists? All of those that are on the terrorist watch list that came through? I don't think so. Albert, I think we may have missed 1 or 2, Corey. We probably have missed just 1 or 2. Now, here's the other question. Here's something else that's also scary. How many terrorists came through the southern border who are not on the terrorist watch list? How many people that were part of 9/11, y'all remember 9/11, how many of them were on the terrorist watch list previous? They were being watched, though. Of course, we didn't have a terrorist watch list then. How many came across the Canadian border? This is the problem. This is the problem, William, brother. Listen, if you were here, I'd just give you a hug and put you in a big old headlock. I'm gonna leave it up there for a second because I want you to just look at that for a second. I want you to say, you know what? I should have typed that. I should not have typed that. I shouldn't have did that at all. How many have come across the Canadian border? Let me ask you a question, William. Is it easier to get into Canada or easier to get into Mexico? Do we have better vetting coming across Canada than we do Mexico? And oh, by the way, you can get to the country illegally through different ports as well. You can come across by boat. The point is, if I'm checking folks in Canada, checking folks at the West Coast ports and East Coast ports, the Gulf Coast as best we can, but I'm not checking folks in at the southern border, don't you think we ought to? It's like you got a bug problem, you spray every place but one room where the bug's going to be at. But I sprayed the kitchen. I've taken care of the front door, but the back door is wide open. William, you got brother? Makes no sense. Now, and what'd you just say? My friend B. Harris said, you act like Trump solved the border issue. I didn't say he solved it. But let me ask you a question, Kamala's brother. Here's my question for you. Was it like this? What Trump's solution is to deport him? What is your solution? What is Kamala's solution? Answer this question. What is Kamala's solution? Well, her solution is let's give them free health care. Let's give them money. Let's give them a place to stay. Let's put them now. By the way, let's put them in communities where Black folks and Hispanic folks live. Let's put them there. You can disagree with them, but you can't prove it wrong. All you guys have is a point, but you don't have a fact. So when people come, by the way, you don't see a large influx of people coming in at other borders, but oh, by the way, we want to close those too. I'm not saying leave the other borders porous, but we don't see a large number of migrants. Can I ask you a question, William? Have 20 million people come across the northern border? No, they have not. But let's go back to Harris.
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president that I was asked to do by the president has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region.
So we put a Costco there. We added some McDonald's. We added some Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes. We put a Walmart there in those countries. So businesses have invested there. It ain't working. So even what you try to do failed. That's a stupid statement. That's a stupid statement on her part. We've addressed the root causes and it resulted in some investments in that country. Well, it didn't work, did it?
The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that.
Well, because they only have the number of immigrants coming from that region has reduced. First of all, that's a lie. That's not true at all. They have not reduced. And guess what? More are coming.
That work, but I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
Okay, now let me ask you a question, guys, and especially those folks who, where are you at? COTRM, I'm not sure what that stands for. I don't know, something. Let me ask you a question. Trump built a fake wall. Here's my question. If it's such a fake wall, then why has Biden started construction on that fake wall again? He promised not to add anything to this wall. So what did Biden start doing? What did Biden start doing? He started building the wall. When did Biden decide to start building back on that fake wall? When? Well, about the same time that this border bill came up, huh? Why did this border bill come up? Well, here's why the border bill came up. The border bill came up, why? Because they wanted to win. They wanted to be able to say, see, we did something, but the something is not going to do anything. By the way, I'm still waiting for you guys to tell me, Chess Champ, any Monkey Moves, Jeff, have they actually given an answer as to what they would do? Have they given any sort of substantive answer to what they would do? Have they told us what these extra thousands of officers at the border are going to do? Have they told us how they're going to stop them from actually coming to the border? I don't recall seeing that. I don't recall seeing that. How are these 20 millions absorbed in America? Thoughts? I'll tell you how, and I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that or whatever, but go look at a construction crew. Pick a city, especially a major city. Go look at a construction crew. And B, I want you to answer this question. I don't want you to ask a question and then not answer it. Go look at a construction crew. What kind of construction crew, Corey? Any construction crew. Go look at people that are building houses. Go look at people that are doing road construction. I'm just going to ask the people in the audience, what's the dominant makeup? What do most of them look like? Where are most of them? Where do they come from? How many black and white folks do you see on these construction crews? So when he said, he made the statement, black jobs and Hispanic jobs, that's what he means. So you can say what you want to say. The fact is that's how they have been being absorbed. So by the way, what could be a cure for this? Instead of giving them citizenship, give them temporary residency where they have a working visa. So if they want to come and work, they have to go through these paperwork, go through the process. And oh, by the way, a portion of what you get is a fee. A portion of what you get is tax. And oh, by the way, when you make anything, if you send it back to Mexico, to Honduras, to Nicaragua, to El Salvador, to Venezuela, that also is going to be taxed. Because you're taking money from Americans, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you're taking the possibility of them making that money and you're sending it somewhere else. So therefore, we should tax that. Certain folks don't want to do that. So they work hard. Hold on, push the wrong one. They work hard building American homes, streets, pay taxes, but unemployment in black community is lowest ever. When did first of all, unemployment in black communities is no longer at its lowest point ever. But when did it get at its lowest point ever? B, come on, if you're gonna try to be right, be right. So, but the question is, when you say they work hard, they work building American homes. Here's my question: do Americans work hard building American homes? Weren't Americans already building homes? Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, weren't they already building homes and roads and so forth? Weren't they already doing those things? You presuppose that no one else was doing those things. What was happening before this particular crisis? As though, see, the narrative that I also hate is that Americans are lazy. No, we're not. No, we're not. But let's keep listening to Madame Harris and listen to what else she says.
A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. When you first ran, there was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that? I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward.
I'm the only one that has prosecuted transnational gangs or whatever. You know what that fancy word is that she just used? Does anybody know what that fancy word is that she's describing? Drug dealers. Yeah, I did time with some of those transnational gangs. Those guys that are from Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Colombia, Mexico, that were dealing drugs, coyotes, mules, so forth. Yeah, that's what she's talking about. Well, guess who else has done that? Every other DA in America, every other AUSA or U.S. attorney has done the exact same thing. That's your job. But is California better off because of that? No. Has California secured its border? No. So what are you going to do? Well, on day one, I'm going to, well, again, this is day 1,200 something. So when Trump made the statement, was Trump correct?
They're murderers, they're drug dealers. If you take a look at Venezuela as an example, their crime is down 72% because they've taken their criminals from Caracas, they've taken their drug dealers, they're emptying their prisons into our country. Their crime is down all over the world. Crime is down.
Was he wrong? No, wasn't wrong. Again, as I said before, I'm not telling you to vote for her. I'm telling you not to vote for her. That's what I'm saying. Why don't you want us to vote for her? Because I want to keep in America. I want us to keep being the United States of America. I want to have some semblance of what I grew up with. I want to be able to be, and by the way, I'm also for being tough on crime, be it against black folks, white folks, Hispanic folks, American, not whoever it is, because I want my kids to be safe. I don't want people to have to constantly wonder, should I get this gun or that gun? And I think folks should have guns. But to think that, I need a better gun. I need a high capacity magazine. By the way, let me ask you guys a question. Someone says fear. Fear. No, it's just being smart. It's never, let me ask you a question. Was it fear when Jesus told his disciples to carry a sword? Was that a fear? No, it's not. It's just wisdom. Again, if you don't want to have a gun, fine. Everyone else everyone else that you listen to, William, they have guns. By the way, don't get a gun. Don't get a gun. Don't have protection, and make sure no one knows where you live. I just solved your problem. Now, I helped out everyone around you. I helped out everyone around you. Who am I judging? Shame on you, Corey. Thank God you don't run anything. Thank God that you're not in charge of anything. Thank God that no one is probably listening to you. Shame on you, Corey. Can you tell, by the way, that I'm probably going to upset some folks, which is fine, which is fine. Listen, you don't have to listen to me. Here's what I do know. AJ and others like you, your way has never worked. Your way has never, ever, ever, ever in the history of the world worked. Disagree? Prove me wrong. Tell me the country, tell me the place, tell me the location where what you're saying, what you're espousing has worked. You should have, you can call it fear, you can call it being cautious, you can call it being wise. Do you have a security alarm at your house? Well, maybe you have shell shock. I don't know what it is. Maybe you just don't know better, William. And I'm not. And pardon me if it offends you, but maybe you simply just don't know better. Maybe you have drank the Kool-Aid. Maybe that's what it is. But if you can tell me what this woman or that particular party has done to benefit you, let me know. I don't know if you're black or white, but tell me what she's done to benefit you. Tell me how she is going to protect this country. Tell me what she has done in 3.5 years, going on 4 years. So I don't care. If you want to leave, if you want to give me thumbs down, praise God, hallelujah, in the name of Jesus. By the way, someone asked me about, do we have Bible studies? On the main channel, we have Bible studies. And by the way, the Bible study this week, I could not get to it this week, but it's going to be on Monday. It's going to be a little bit longer because we're going to try to put 2 of them together, because the Wednesday Bible study there's going to be a special guest on Wednesday. You'll see the thumbnail come out in the next day. I'll give you a hint. It's going to be around this as well. It's going to be around this as well. By the way, moderators, be ready on Wednesday. Be ready on Wednesday. Just to let you know. But you mean to tell me we shouldn't have any sort of concern about this? You mean to tell me You mean to tell me letting 20 million come in, 30 million come in, you mean to tell me it's okay? I remember hearing this. I remember hearing this 30 years ago. Someone made the statement, if you think it's okay that they should be able to come, well then fine. Help us out. Contribute. Let them stay at your house. Turn your house to an Airbnb. Now, it wasn't Airbnb at that time, but let them stay with you. Well, I wouldn't let them stay with me. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Would you move into one of those places where they have all the migrants housed? No, you would not. The problem is you guys want someone else to do with it. The problem is you think that there is a soft, easy solution. No, listen, there needs to be something tough, something hard, something tangible. The people that are coming need to either fear or think it's of no benefit to even try to come. No one wants to try a clear failure. If I know me going there is going to result in me being sent back, that's a long ride. That's a long trip to come from. I want you to think about how long that is to go from Venezuela here to America. That is a long ride. By the way, can someone do this for me? Can someone Google how far it is, the distance between the southern part of Mexico to the northern part? I just wonder how long it is. I wonder how far it is, because that's not the whole trip, but they got to go that way through Mexico. That's a long walk, a long road. I'm not sure. I don't know if you're shell-shocked or not, William, but the point is this. The point is this. The point, what you're saying makes no sense. Every time we say something, what do? Well, this, well, that. You can't offer any facts. You can't offer a solution. So the fact of the matter is, think about this, William. You literally went to go fight for a country that won't be here. You literally went to go fight for a country that will not be here by the time you and I die. You won't be, the country that you fought for will not exist in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Sorry. Wow. Doggone it, Albert. Can somebody ban Albert? Put Albert on a 40-day, I'm kidding. Albert, why'd you put it in kilometers? Kilometer, why'd you do that? Albert, dear brother, can you tell us what that is in miles? Us Americans, I know everyone else is on the, everyone else is on. I'm getting ready to get off. I know college football is about to start. I gotta get ready to go. But still, what is that in miles? Doggone it, Albert, you messed the whole live stream up. You messed the whole live stream up. Corey, thanks for your opinion. We've witnessed what Trump can do and has done. There's a reason why he wasn't reelected. Can you explain that? Well, the reason why he wasn't elected because Trump is a horrible candidate. I don't think you guys are listening. Trump is one of the worst presidential candidates ever. Only to be exceeded by some of the other worst candidates. We have had in the last, 8 years, some of the worst candidates. Trump, Hillary Clinton, Biden, and Harris. They are some of the worst presidential candidates ever. But the temperature of the country lends itself to we're going to vote for one or the other. Trump figured it out. He figured out that I'll tap into that. Whereas the other side tapped into I don't know what the left has tapped into. Trump has not stopped anything. Okay, if you say so. Trump is an absolutely horrible candidate, but so too was Hillary, so too was Biden. And I'm not gonna be one. He said, I'm an engineer. The distance is 2,420. Engineer, thank you. That's why he said it like that. Okay, 2,004. That's a long way to walk or drive. Could it have been some voter fraud? By the way, has there ever been fraud in the country in an election? Yes. As a matter of fact, sometimes they release things 20 years after the fact. And so we found out what happened in a couple of the other presidential races. I think it was 20-something years ago, 30 years ago, and found out. And by the way, the report states that there always has been and likely always will be tampering in elections. Now, of course, Trump was the one who was accused of colluding with somebody else to tamper with the election. Found out 2 years, 3 years after the fact that that's not the case. So he can be guilty of it, but you guys aren't. Other folks aren't. Okay, fine. Fine. Why did people imagine Kamala with the nuclear codes? There's nothing to worry about. She won't do anything with it. She won't push a button to stop anything. I'm kidding. But what did Trump stop? What was the issue? Well, Trump did use his business acumen. I'll give him that. You can say what you want to say, but he does understand at least business. Have you asked Kamala anything about the economy? Putting such as the tariffs on China, did that help? Sure it did. It absolutely did. Do you enforce them? Well, it depends. You use them as a way to bring them to a better bargaining table. And so it did. Stop taking advantage of American businesses. And some folks on the left think that American businesses are the boogeymen. We need to really hit our American businesses. Can I ask you guys a question before we get back to this? Do you all realize how absolutely, utterly stupid, foolish, ignorant it is to put more pressure on American businesses? Imagine if the cost of your cell phone, Android or iPhone, went up. Imagine if the cost of your food went up. Imagine if the cost of your gas went up. I know it did. I know it did over the last 3 years. Imagine if the cost of your heating and cooling, your air conditioning, your electricity, imagine if the cost of everything went up. Well, here's my question. The cost of these goods and services are simply passed on to us by who? By big businesses. Well, let's tax them more. Matter of fact, let's also tax unrealized gain. If you tax unrealized gain like this woman is talking about, the country is over with. And you know what? If that happens, fine. All of the Venezuelans can move here. All the people from Guatemala, from Honduras, they can all move here because that is literally, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this. I'm not overstating this at all. If that happens, that is literally the end of this country. Matter of fact, it's the end of you. Your money will soon be thereafter worthless. Why? Well, because everything that you have in your house that has accrued any sort of value is now going to be taxed on that. Think about some of you all that own homes, and they want the tax assessor wants to tell you your house is worth this. You're saying it's worth that. Well, if your house is taxed, if your house is assessed here, that's essentially what we're talking about, the unrealized gain, the cost of what your house is. Now, we don't know if you're actually going to get that, because what if they say your house is really worth $500,000? You try to sell it, though, next year you get $300,000. But I've been paying taxes on a $500,000 house. So I'm taxing you on this unrealized gain. That includes your stocks, your 401ks, ladies and gentlemen, your bank accounts. If you own gold, Bitcoin, whatever, all of those things, doggone it, I keep telling you guys, all of us as human beings, we're worth $5 worth of dirt. The only thing that's not is Joey. Joey has accrued in value. I know for a fact that Joey is worth at least $100. So from the $7 I paid for him in 2007, I owe $93. I got to be taxed on that. Y'all don't get that, do you? No, because you're so busy worried about the fact that she ain't Trump. Lord, open your eyes and pay attention to what these people are telling you. They're literally telling to you in front of your face. And then when they ask you, how are you going to do this? Well, this and well, that. You guys need to be buying bridges. You guys should be in the market for bridges. Why? Because I got one to sell you. I've got one to sell you because you guys do not care about the facts. Just anybody but Trump. And you guys don't have any, again, what you guys, or not you guys, but what others are proposing, none of what they're proposing has ever worked in the history of the world. But let's get back to this crisis of humanity that we have at our border. Now, someone says, asking why they're coming. Let's let the illegal immigrants, the illegal aliens, and we've gotten to the point we can't even call them illegal aliens. That's what they are. Let's get back to, let's ask them why they're coming.
There is a Venezuelan migrant with 500,000 followers on TikTok who is telling border crossers they can live in empty houses in this country.
In his most recent controversial TikTok video, Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States, they can, quote, invade empty homes and live there, saying under U.S. law, if a house is uninhabited, it can be seized, referring to...
Listen to what he's saying. And I'm going to play some more from this guy, but he's telling people he's got all these 500,000 followers. I mean, I'm sorry, half a billion, 400-something million followers. He is an illegal immigrant. He's telling people how to get here, other illegal immigrants, how to get here. He's giving them, y'all have heard us talk about before, or not us, but other folks talk about squatters and so forth, them coming here. And a lot of them are migrants. He's telling them here. He's also telling them other things to do once they get here.
To squatting rights in our country. That video garnered almost 4 million views. In past videos, the illegal migrant bragged that he came to the United States to vacation and now lives off U.S. taxpayers because he had a child in this country. He also tells his followers that he waits for Americans' hard-earned pension checks to come in every month.
Waiting for America's hard-earned pension checks to come every month. Think about that. If that is not a slap in the face, we want their hard-earned pension checks to come and pay for what we're doing. And I appreciate what you're saying. I support you, but what I'm saying is just one-sided. That's fine. I want someone who disagrees to offer a contradicting opinion. That's what I want. I want the dialogue. I want the conversation. Show us, show me, show the rest of the world where we are wrong. By the way, I'm one of those ones that tend to think that the polls are as off as they can be. I tend to think that it's not that close. I tend to think that there's going to be a surprise in favor of Trump come election night. That what they think that the polls have tightened, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'm not out there polling, but let's play what he's saying. Let's listen to what he's saying and tell me how you could not be offended by this.
To all those women that find themselves pregnant and are in Latin America, please come have your baby in the United States. And if you get married, you'll get more back in taxes. And, well, if you have 5 or 6 children, can you imagine? My daughter is American and she gave me citizenship. She pays our rent. She pays our bills. She gives us $1,500 a month since she was born. I have 6 months in the USA and I have everything you don't have. Citizenship, residency, a good car.
Are you fine with that? This is not me making this up. This is not me making this up. This is them telling you, and they don't. To think about this, to scam America, and they don't even care. They're so brazen with it. He's going to put it on video. I don't care if you all see it, because he knows that people like Kamala are going to Kamala. People like her and others are going to go along. They don't care. They want to give us money. By the way, let me say this. It is not true. No court has ever stated this, what I'm getting ready to tell you. No court has ever determined or stated that being from a foreign country and having a baby here makes you or that baby a citizen. That has never been decided. No court has ever said that. They're talking about the 14th Amendment about babies born here to slaves, to the babies, the children of slaves. That's what that amendment was for. No court has ever applied that to an illegal alien, to an immigrant, ever. What's happened is we have simply assumed it and no one has pushed it. You can't find one court report, one court order that states so. One decision. You can't cite one case law that states that. We've just allowed that to happen. I say, pack up mama, pack up daddy, if you can find them, pack up baby, give them a nice ride back to where they're coming from. And if they want to come back, apply the proper way. That's what you do. That's how, because it's the way you would do it in any other country. If someone is in from Germany, flying to, I don't know, to Turks and Caicos, I don't know, they had a layover in Atlanta. And they had a baby there. That baby is not an American citizen. Corey, please get out of politics. Let me just say this. Let me help you out. I appreciate you, brother. Love you to death. But you simply, if you don't like what I'm saying, either refute it or you don't have to watch. I'm not getting ready to stop my opinion because you don't like my opinion. I don't know if you recognize this, but I'm not 12. I've got she's 13-year-old granddaughter. I've got, how old is Eden? Eden is 8-9-year-old granddaughter. I got a 4-year-old grandson and a 2-year-old grandson. I've got an 18-year-old daughter. I've got a 30-something-year-old daughter, and then some in between. Point is, I'm an adult male who has an opinion. Do I not have the right to express my opinion? simply because you don't like it or you can't refute it. The whole goal is for us to think. And so I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean or ugly, but you don't have to listen. I love you to death. If you think that I'm wrong, fine. There's two options. And I'm not trying to, again, not trying to be ugly, but you don't have to harm yourself by watching it, or you can help somebody else out or me and refute what I'm saying. That's all. Yes, I'm giving my opinion. I'm going to give my opinion. You literally tuned in. Am I the only one that thought that you guys tuned in to hear someone else? Did you guys tune in to hear someone else's opinion? You literally do that. And I'm thankful for that. I appreciate that. And I love the feedback. Give me the pushback. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where Kamala is going to do something right. Tell me that how I'm representing Trump, what he did the previous 4 years, how I was wrong. Did illegal immigration reduce to an all-time low? Yes, it did. Was inflation low then? By the way, inflation is 2%, 2.9% right now. 2.9% from year over year, from the last year. But what is inflation from the previous 3 years, 3.5 years ago? In some cases, 20%, 30%, 40%, depending upon what you're looking at. So I'm sorry. If you value your money, if you value your biblical morals, if you value your safety and your freedom, tell me where I am wrong. Why do we try to tell followers of Christ not to express? Now, let me say this. Is it okay, and I'm gonna cover this next week. Is it okay, should Christians be involved in politics? Sure, they should, if they want to. Why would they not? We're involved in everything else. Should Christians be involved in finance? Sure. Farming? Sure. Politics? Yes. That's the thing that governs all the other markets. Now, should the church, listen to what I'm saying, should the church be involved in politics, meaning the collective body coming together and rallying for a party? No, they should not. Should political parties or candidates go in churches? No, they should not, Republican or Democratic. I didn't like when Trump went into a church, and I didn't like when Democrats go into a church at all. But can Christians do so? Sure. They can, and probably in many cases should. They should. We should participate in our government's movement one way or the other, because I can promise you, if you don't, they will start interfering in your life. That's just the truth.
To all those women that find themselves pregnant and are in Latin America, please come have your baby in the United States.
So he's begging, he's arguing, listen, come one, come all. I'm not upset, COTRM. I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I am not upset. Listen, let me just say something. I'm making my point, and I'm having a good time doing it. I promise you, if it comes across that I'm upset, then I apologize. If it comes across that I'm bothered, angry, I'm not. I really am not. I'm fine. I am fine. Now, I don't want you to be upset. That's the point. Because if what I'm saying is upsetting you, then you should not listen. What I'm saying isn't going to take you to heaven or hell intentionally. This particular channel is made for those sort of opinions. Now, I am going to have something related to this on Wednesday with a pretty famous guest. And I'll give biblical backing on that, on certain things over there as well. But I don't want you to be upset. That's the whole point. I don't want you to be bothered. I'm just telling you how I feel and why I feel. If you disagree, this is the opportunity where you get a chance. How many other channels can you go to where they're going to entertain you and your thoughts if you disagree? Yeah, well, we're not going to block you, ban you. Hey, now unless you get too belligerent. If you get too belligerent, if you get out of pocket, there's a brother here that has a quick trigger finger that will give you a little bit of time to sit and think about it, or to reflect, or never come back. But typically over here, you get an opportunity to kind of, do I like RFK? Yeah, not really. I'll be honest with you, not really. But what it showed was how non-democratic that particular party was to keep him off the ballot, to sue him, to do everything they can to keep him from participating. Why? Because they recognize that he is probably more closer aligned with their views than he is Trump. And so therefore, they didn't want him on. They didn't want him taking votes away from them. That's why. And I'm grateful that he's like, you know what right is right, wrong is wrong. You have literally had someone from Biden's staff to take part in the legal process in trying to convict or bring charges against Trump. This is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fact. I'm not making this up. Did Biden say, hey, go prosecute Trump? No, he did not. Did someone who's related to his staff do so, as part of his staff go do so? Yes, they did. And Trump's a criminal. Okay, fine. Here's the question. And I'll leave the Trump criminal stuff alone. Trump's a felon. By the way, I can promise you this. He will not be a felon for long. I can not, at least on those 34 charges. But if someone can tell me, if anyone can tell me, listen, here's a bold move. I can't be too braggadocious, but I'll do this. I'll bet you guys something very valuable to me if you can prove me wrong on this. If you can tell me what was the underlying federal charge that Trump violated in those 34 convictions. If you can tell me what it is, I will give up Joey for a year. Not forever. Because you can't. Even the prosecutor couldn't. He said, well, it could be. Matter of fact, the orders to the jury was, you don't have to know or find what he would have been guilty of. The worst ever jury instructions ever, but that's fine. I know Joey's not going with. That's why I make the statement. I'll make bets like I bet. One guy actually bet me what my charge was. Like I bet it wasn't. Huh? How are you gonna bet? That's like betting me. Do I wear glasses? So I don't really get caught up in the whole he was a felon and so forth. But these people are telling you why they're coming here and how you can come. Is that what you want? So ask yourself this question. I will, Mr. Rivera. I will. Ask yourself this question. The man is on TikTok or wherever else, and he's advertising for other illegals to come, and they follow suit. Who is going to stop that? Is Trump going to stop that, or is Kamala? Or do you think neither are going to stop it? Well, who has stopped it? The fact is you literally have two track records that you can put side by side. Think about this. Trump literally did something about it in his 4 years. Kamala was literally tasked with stopping it, and nothing happened. Matter of fact, it got worse. They reversed his policies, and we are where we are now. When you see people going into people's houses, threatening them with AKs, with guns, you've got only one group to blame. I'm sorry. But these people are getting all of these rewards for coming. What other rewards are they getting? How about this?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. In fact, you've got California lawmakers really calling this one of the most divisive bills they've seen so far this year. So what we can tell you is that it passed through the California Senate late last night. Now there's a lot of questions as to whether Governor Gavin Newsom will sign it into law and how it's going to be perceived nationally. Now, it's called Assembly Bill 1840. If it gets signed into law, illegal immigrants, they would be allowed to enter a lottery system that would give them up to 20% in down payment assistance or up to $150,000 in home loans. So
now, let me just say this, and with all due respect, California politics are horrible. They are just horrible. So, first of all, you're giving people this amount of money, and now you're saying that illegal immigrants can also get this as well? $150,000. No wonder California is broke. No wonder people are moving out. Think about it. The two states that people move out of the most are the two most liberal states. Or two of the, because folks are now starting, Washington is creeping up on that list as well. Really, these people are as entitled as they can get. And if you don't think that these folks have gotten here and gotten comfortable and got entitled, feeling like they need to get what we're giving out. If you don't believe me, look at this.
In despair, visibly exhausted, dozens of migrants refusing to leave this hotel in Midtown Manhattan. This Venezuelan man saying he's tired and cold, questioning if this is the harsh reality of the American dream.
That's not the American dream for you, buddy. You wait a second. It's cold. They don't like the conditions. They're being taken out of a hotel that most people in New York couldn't afford to stay in. They're being taken out of that hotel and being put someplace that's a little less accommodating. They don't like that. We don't want to go. No, we like it better here. And it's too cold out. Well, I know where it's not cold. I know a good place that is not cold. How about Venezuela? It ain't cold there. Ain't cold there. Where you at? What'd you say? Hold on. Where is it? She said you moved from California to Texas. No, don't you move here. Love you to death, but you can't come. We don't want any more Texans here. I mean, Californians here from Texas. I mean, for any more Californians here in Texas. We are, I'm just kidding, Becky. But Lord, do you know how many Californians we have here? We have, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how many, and I get it. Listen, I understand it. You know, it's easy to get on I-10 or 20 and just ride. He said, I'm coming. He said, I'm coming. It's so, because the cost of living is a lot less. No state income tax. You've got a lot more freedom, a lot more land. The people are different. Now the people are changing, and the driving, the highways are changing too. People don't know how to drive anymore. Sorry, I don't know if it's you Californians, you folks from Colorado or New Mexico, but hey, fine. Just as long as you come here and show some Texas values. I'm not even from here, and I've got by the way, I have a Texas announcement I'm going to make pretty soon. I've got a Texas announcement I'm going to make pretty soon. You guys don't like it. But let me answer this question, and I'll go to the super chats in just a little bit. I will go to, but Mr. Rivera says, what if you didn't vote? What if you didn't vote for Trump because you thought he was racist or incited racism, but now you want to vote for him? Well, then vote for him. However, your spouse is pro-democratic. Well, then you need to go on and divorce her. I'm kidding. Don't divorce her. Don't divorce. I'm just joking, guy. I'm just joking. Listen. Vote your way. Let her vote her way. Let me just go back a few years and say something. When I first got into school, I had the privilege to work around some Democratic leaders, different rallies and so forth with Jesse Jackson and other Democratic congressmen from Indiana. And I was as Democrat as you could be. And someone asked me, and just kind of push, just study, just see, ask yourself, take Republican and Democrat aside, and just how would you deal with these issues? And then try to refute their points, refute the Republicans point by point. Take race out, because that's always our thing. Everybody Republicans are racist, or if they're black, they're a sellout. That's childish. When all you want to do is call someone racist or a sellout, you are childish. You are a child. Sorry if that's you. I'm sorry. Let it sting. Let it help you. Let it be medicine. Let it be that big gigantic pill that you have to swallow. Let it help you. If all you can resort to is he's racist or he's a sellout, he's a fascist, which they don't know what a fascist means. He's like Hitler. Okay, you're a child in your thinking. Sorry. I'm sorry. This is a childish statement. Mexico can have Texas back. Nobody would care to accept Texas, huh? This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. Nobody. Okay, fine. All right. Except the millions that are coming here, except the businesses that are coming here. Daniel, where do you live? Tell us where you live. And it better not be in Texas. Daniel's probably in Houston right now talking about Texas. Anyway, but we're doing all these things to benefit them, and they feel so entitled. What is America? I said this to William and others. This is what the America that he fought for. This is what America is going to look like in the next 10, 20, 30 years. That's America. That was in Washington, D.C. Because people don't value this country. This country is not perfect at all. There's no such thing. This country has a lot of flaws. But even when I remember, now I don't remember the 60s or the 50s or the 40s or the 30s, but everyone that I knew from there, and even in the 70s and 80s, we had a level of pride. Not the sinful sort of pride, like pride in self. But we valued being an American, and it meant something. It meant that if you came here, you were going to assimilate. You're going to be like, you're going to have our values. You're not going to come to this country and bring another country's flag. That's a slap in the face. Could you imagine getting married and your spouse keeps talking about your ex, her ex, or his ex boyfriend or girlfriend? It's a slap in the face. Where I used to, the person I used to date, the way we used to do it, or one person goes from one church to the next church. Well, at my old church, but we've got folks that come here and they want us to be like Mexico, or want us to be like Brazil, or they want us to be like, like other countries. They want us to be like the Netherlands. They want us to be like Europe. No, sorry. There are planes, trains, boats, and automobiles that can take you there. This is America. There's a reason why. And by the way, yeah, you're right. That would not happen. Now, there will always be something. But I'm a person who believes in the exceptional history and values that were purported to be American, those ideas. I'm a believer of those things. Now, they're going by the wayside. We were the country that, for the longest, every country, and let me just say this clear, and you can disagree with this, but every country on the planet owes its existence or its stability or survival to the United States in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That's a bold statement, Corey. It's a bold fact. Name the country that has the earthquake. Name the country that has the typhoon. Name the country that has the hurricane. Name the country that's war-torn. Name the country, even enemies of our own country, that has something that happens, an outbreak, that we don't make sure that we are Johnny on the spot, ready to send aid and comfort, or even to defend, to help, to protect. Name the country. You can't. You cannot. Even the former enemies. Think about it. Japan, for the longest, could not have an army. You know why they couldn't? They were our enemies, but we protected them. We made sure they couldn't have one. But if you came against Japan, you literally had global hell to pay. Name the country that cannot say we are not better off because of America. Name that country. Even our enemies. China, nope. They can't say that. Not even Russia could say that. Nobody can say. But the countries that turn their back on us, how are they doing? So you can say what you want to say. Yeah, we're not the greatest country. I mean, a perfect country. We are the greatest country. Even in spite of our flaw, the beauty of the country was, in spite of our flawed, horrible politicians, many of them are. Many of them are. In spite of them, the beauty was we had checks and balances to stop them from being something worse. I get it. You say that we micromanage foreign affairs far too much. Do you know the reason why we do? Do you know the reason why we keep our hands in so many? Now, we're not in everybody's business. We're not in everybody's business, but let me tell you the reason why. And it almost cost us our existence. America was tired of being involved in foreign wars. I don't think we should be involved in foreign wars. I don't want it. But sometimes you do have to. It's kind of the balancing act. Who's calling someone fool in the chat? But there's this balancing act. You don't want to be the world's police, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you do police the world. Here's why I say that. Just go back. Some of you, well, I'm pretty sure most of us, if not any of us, were alive at the time. But let's go back to the late 1930s, when we see German aggression and expansion happening. Let's go back and see that. And the thought was, for America, we're not going to get involved. We are not going to get involved. Others thought we would. And so when you see them, the bombings that took place in the Philippines to try to provoke America or hinder America and hinder the transfer of fuel to countries that are involved in the war, and then also attacking us in Pearl Harbor, that things that brought us in, well, America didn't want to get in. America absolutely did not want to get in. As a matter of fact, it's highly unlikely. I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask. If we would have gotten in, but what happened? What would have happened if America would have delayed coming in? What would have happened if we were not bombed, and we would have delayed coming into the war? Oh, I don't know. A year later, what would have happened? Well, we certainly would have been bombed, and well, people who look like me wouldn't be alive because that is not who Hitler wanted. We'd be speaking German probably. Who knows? So there are some times where we have to get involved. There are some times where you have to stop aggression from other countries. There are some countries that want to dominate the world. Russia still wants to dominate the world. So too does China. What do? You sit back and let it happen, or do you do things as best you can? There are some things you do to stop it. Some things you want to, I guess it depends. But as it relates to the big boys, you want to make sure that they stay in their lane. So what do we do? Well, now there's one guy, I think he's got it licked. There's one guy that has figured it out. Since the illegals have it better than us, he says, if you can't beat them, join them.
Hey, everybody. I'm on day 6. I'm walking from Hillsville, Virginia to Texas, and now I'm going to cross the Rio Grande and get to Mexico and give up my United States citizenship to break back into America so that I don't have to pay taxes and get free housing and free all kind of shit.
Yeah, he's got it right. He has got it right. Yeah, we need to just, you know what? I'm going to cross the border. I'm going to renounce my citizenship and then break back into the country. That way, I'll get better treatment. I'll get free housing, free health care, free everything. Oh, by the way, Kamala did say that she's for all of the illegal immigrants getting free health care. So yeah, I guess that's the case. I guess that makes sense. And no, you're right. You can't vote lawlessness out. You cannot get rid of bad hearts. You cannot. But what you can do is you can actually put up some safeguards to kind of ward it off. The world is going by the wayside at some point in time. It's going by the wayside. And so what we're trying to do is at least listen, as long as I can live, I would love to see America not go down so quickly. So if there's anything that we can do to ward it off, amen. I don't know what the state of America will be when the world comes to an end. I have no idea. I have no earthly idea what it's going to be like. But what I can say is that doesn't mean that we shouldn't stop trying to make things right. Ultimately, the most important thing is to lead people to Christ. That's the most important thing. Ultimately, the most important thing is to be godly, even in your political decisions. What we're seeing happening, and listen, do it yourself. Now, you're going to frustrate yourself, but go just type in Venezuelan migrants or migrant crime. Just type it in. You can do it on Google, do it on YouTube, do it on Facebook, do it on, I guess, Instagram maybe. Do it on TikTok or Twitter, Twix. Do it there. Do whatever. And you are, if you're not bothered, something's wrong with you. But then the question is, how do we fix it? That's the question. How do we fix it? Well, what Trump said, folks don't like it. He didn't say it the most artful way, or maybe it offended some people. Maybe some of you guys are offended by what Trump said because someone told you to be offended. What he said was racist. What he said was homophobic. What he said was xenophobic. What he said, all these different phobes that you didn't even know existed, but you agree with because somebody on some network told you that's what it was. But you yourself was probably thinking that as well. The first time some of you folks had someone who didn't look like you say something or do something wrong or crossed you or whatever, you probably thought that blankety blank Mexican or that blankety blank white guy, that blankety blank black guy, whatever. That might be, and it's probably true. It's probably true. But the issue is, what are you going to do about it? What should we do about it? He was right. There's no question that Trump was right what he said. There's no question that he was right. Question is, what are you going to do about it? And the question is, what will he do about it? What will she do about it? Again, let me just be clear. I am not telling you to vote for Donald Trump. I'm just simply telling you don't vote for her. By the way, thank you so much, Marissa and Oval Office. Now, let me just say this. I don't have many more political videos to do. I don't have many more videos dealing with politics. Definitely one more. Probably two more. Probably two more. At least. I would say at least two. Because I think it is important. Let me put this on the screen. So I want to ask you guys a question before we leave. Get to some football. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you are 40 and older? And I ask this question a lot, about people's age and so forth. I ask these things a lot because I think it's important. I think older people should give insight and leadership to younger people. And most of the people that watch this channel and it's an older channel. We got some young folks, but the overwhelming majority of people that watch this channel are 45 and older, according to my YouTube metrics. 45 and older. Here's why I'm asking this question. Take your Democrat hat off, take your Republican hat off. And it's always these young folks. Doggone, let's just deal with this first before we move on. Jesus is King of Kings is 38. Keyshawn is 23. Redeemed by, okay, I did say 40 and over. Did I say 40 and over? Okay. I didn't ask you young folks for anything. I did not ask you young people for, this is a, doggone it, you young people. I did not ask you young people. I didn't ask you for your age. I'm talking about the people that, listen, these are the grown folks right now. You young folks, you young bucks, John A., you too. Brian, chess champ. Wow, chess champ. Okay. Dante, 30. No, I'm not talking. Listen, you young people, listen. This is Thanksgiving. You guys right now are at the little table, the little small table to the side. This is the grown folks table, all right? Now, I'm kidding. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why I'm asking this question. Yeah, CG is still a pup. You pups, you kittens, no. 26 is grown, but it ain't that grown. Doggone it. Listen, you know how you are still at the age where you can be on your parents' insurance. Did he just say that? But here, Roslyn says she's the oldest. Are you? Patriot Girl says I'm 70. Anyone older than 70? Here's why I'm asking this question. I'm appealing to you to give insight to those that need it. Y'all remember growing up. I don't care what part of the country we were from. I don't care if you were in a bad part of the city. Kids were I'm old, so kids were a lot safer. Women could walk down the street without fear of being accosted. Men, even the worst of them, at least showed some sort of respect. Men would walk up to a woman. If he had his hat on, what would he do? What would this man do? I don't care what his background is. If he had a hat on, what would he do? Take his hat off. I don't care if his hair was a mess underneath. Kids had respect. Go find a kid to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, no, sir, nowadays. Hard to find. Kids respected elders. Elders looked out after children even though they weren't their own. If someone is messing with someone else's child, didn't have to be my child or your child, you're going to go see about that child. That's just what it was. Nowadays, you can kidnap a kid in broad daylight and folks just going to look and walk away. We had some concern about each other. Even if we didn't like you, we had some concern. I didn't like you as my neighbor, but can't nobody break into your house. I cared about your kids. I cared about your schools. I cared about the streets. We would actually literally get out. How many of y'all had those little parties where the neighborhood would get out and clean the streets? Pick up trash in the neighborhood. Make sure the alleys are cleaned up. Pick up paper. We used to do that. As a matter of fact, we got out and actually knew our neighbors. We used to go to the store. You could send a child to the store to buy some cigarettes. Sometimes all you had to do sometimes just send a note. Sometimes you didn't even need a note. You can go home, be trusted to be home by yourself, clean up the house, go outside and play. Do we see kids out in the street playing? Look, wherever you are, Look outside your door right now and see how many kids you see outside playing, running around, on bikes, in the field playing football or basketball or baseball or just playing tag or kickball. You don't see that, do you? Who wishes we could have that back? I wish we could have that back. You can't even let your kids go out in your own front yard unattended. And you think what we're advocating for, some folks think that what I'm advocating for might be some right-wing talking points. No, this is just common sense. This is what we used to have. This is what we used to have. And we've lost that. We don't hold people accountable. If you did something wrong then, you were held accountable. And there was trouble. If you broke a law, you go to jail. Even during the civil rights movement, pre-civil rights, if you were black and you did something to break the law, those folks that were marching weren't marching for you anymore because you broke the law. You don't represent us. Go to jail. Pay your debt to society. Come back out and do better next time. We'll see you then. In 5 years, 10 years, hopefully they don't kill you in prison, but you brought that on yourself. That's kind of how it used to be. Things are vastly different now. And so for people to want that to come back, that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing at all. And people can say, well, Corey, you love Trump. No, I don't love Trump. I would have loved for him to not to have been the candidate, but he is. And do I think he will do a far better job than her? Sure, I do. Obviously, I do. All of a sudden now folks don't trust my opinion because I dare to not hate Trump like they do. I am not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. I don't like Trump, so therefore I'm voting for the policy or the people that are going to keep more millions and millions of people coming in, give them things. Some of you black folks want the government to step up and recognize slavery and give reparations, but you literally vote for a party that's giving money to people who had nothing to do with this country. Help me understand that. Daniel Price says, not very Christ-like behavior, bearing false witness against immigrants based on some pundits and commercials. Tell me, Daniel, where I was wrong. Tell me, if you could, please, sir, where I was wrong. If you can show me where I was wrong, I apologize. But who did I bear false witness on? When everything I said, I'm literally playing the video clips. This is an unrelated question, but are missionaries considered apostles? In the basic sense, an apostle is someone who was sent, and so you could say that, but truth be told, that's not even it either. Missionaries are not the biblical equivalent to apostles. What they are, they're the biblical equivalent of evangelists. Remember, Ephesians 4 says that they're apostles, prophets, and evangelists. They are the equivalent of evangelists. Let me see a couple more questions here. Corey, Corey, you have also been deceived by the Trump train. Come on, bro. Trump is a criminal. You know it, and the world knows it. Can I ask you a question? Robert Jerry, you still here? This is my question to all those folks that say Trump is a criminal. Okay, he's still here. You say Trump is a criminal. Here's my question. What crime has Trump been convicted of? I'll let you figure that out while you just tell me what crime has Trump, and I'm asking you as an adult who can respond like an adult, what crime, name the crime that Trump has been convicted of. Don't presuppose what you think I'm asking. What crime, and we're going to leave here because I'm going to prove a point as I leave. What crime has Trump been convicted of? Tell me. Should I go ahead and put Joey up? What crime has Trump, matter of fact, it doesn't have to be him. It can be anyone else. Someone tell me what crime has Trump been convicted of? What crime has Trump been guilty of? She says, President Donald J. Trump guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. What crime has he been convicted of? Remember, these were outdated misdemeanors that were brought up. They said that he did those things to violate a federal statute. Guilty of falsifying business records, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is not a crime. It's a crime if you do it for XYZ. Let's say for the purpose of hiding taxes, for the purpose of money laundering. What we have is some scheme, some sort of artifice, something that's supposed to have been part of the crime. What's the crime? Those 34 actions. Oh, by the way, they could have made them. They could have made it one action. They could have made it 1,000 actions. What crime? What crime has he been? The problem is you can't name it. That's the point. He hasn't. He hasn't. And then I wonder, all those folks that say that, are you going to go back and say? Because I can promise you this: it's going to be overturned by the courts. Any lawyer will say. Now, I filed enough cases in federal court to know what needs to be met for a trial. There's mens res and actus res that needs to be met. None of those are there. None of those are there. The means, what he intended to do, and the actus res, what he acted upon, that's not there. It's not there. Not taking responsibility for January the 6th. Okay, that's not a crime. He hadn't been charged with that. It's not a crime. Oh, by the way, he literally goes out and says, don't go, be peaceful and so forth. But the person who you don't talk about is Nancy Pelosi, who she said it was in a recording, and I would have played the recording, but said it was her fault that she didn't have the security there and she knew about others coming. But that's neither here nor there. He wasn't convicted of that. So when I say what crime, you don't have the crime. You don't have one. And here's the thing about it. Here's how you know what was done to him was a farce, because even the folks that did it couldn't name a crime. Even the jury instructions couldn't name it. It says you don't have to. He literally tells you, you don't have to even come up with the actual crime. You don't have to know what the crime is. So, yeah, it's coming up. His sentencing is coming up, but he won't serve a day in prison. That won't happen. But my point is this, though. My point is this. We have this hatred. Again, I don't love Trump. I wish he had rolled off into the sunset. I really do. I really do. I think there's some, I won't say who, some other candidates that I would much more prefer to see. There's some candidates on the Democratic side that I would much more prefer to see. I would have preferred to see this candidate or that candidate over either one of these candidates. But my point is this. Irrespective of the candidates, let's talk about the people that actually live here. Let's talk, and them being safe. If these video clips that were shown don't bother you, something's wrong. And if they do bother you, you figure out what's going to happen. How should they be taken care of? I do not have confidence in Kamala Harris fixing these things, because she's literally, it's as though people act as though that we're waiting for her to get in office. We're waiting for her to get in office. She's literally in office right now. She's actually in office right now. Well, I'm going to do this. We'll do it now. And I think that's right there. That's right. Joey for 2024. Well, what's Joey's last name? He ain't got one. Joey the Cup. Joey the Cup. First name Joey, last name the Cup. Yeah. And I think he would do a much better job than everybody else. Anyway, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments afterwards, which is fine. I want to see the comments. But I also want to see the responses from you guys and others who are going to set the record straight. In the meantime, guys, God bless you.